Hello guys, welcome back to the Arverei channel. In today's video, we are going to be going over all the free Showtime cards that are basically released in 2026 for Efootball. Now these include like daily game, monthly rewards, like pick one of the three, whatever, you know, all the special things that came out, all the free cards. We're going to rate GOAT, which basically means they can compete with Epics and other Showtime. Starting 11, which means they're good enough to start, but maybe they're not as good as GOAT. Bench is bench, reserves, and release is just get rid of them. They're not good enough. So like an example of GOAT, right, is Dean Howson. I mean, people in Div 1 be using Dean Howson, bro. He's that meta. Like, his card is not really that good stat-wise, and he's not that good in, like, he's decent in real life. But for whatever reason, in this game, he is the god. So he's going in GOAT. A good example of starting 11 is David De Gea. Again, I've gotten to Div 1 using him. I'm still using him, but he's not as good as Petr. He's not as good as Buffon. Like, so he's up there, right? Starting 11. A good example of bench, a good example of release is Oblak. I've never seen anyone use him. I've never seen anyone actually like using him. Yeah, Daniel Oblak, he's not a good card. Isco is a bench. He can be useful if you level him up the right way, but he's not like particularly fast, and he doesn't have great shooting. That's why he's not starting 11, but he is a good bencher if you want to. And then a good example of reserves is like Jack Grealish. I mean, he's a fun card to have, but he's not good enough to play, and he's not bad enough to release. So these are like an example of the template of the cards we're going for. So I mean, GOAT cards are easy. I mean, Henderson as well is in the GOAT category. A lot of people use him despite his stats not actually being that good and him being slow. I mean, pace doesn't matter in the game anymore. So he's up there as well. We got two Joelitons for some reason. I think a good example of like starting 11 would be also Marquinhos, because again, he's not as good as Saliba, Van Dijk, because all he has is Aerial Fortress, but he could start, like you could conceivably start him in a team. He's just not as good as like, and he's not as good as Dean Howson, like, but he's not bad enough to be on the bench. Like, he's not like, oh, he's just kind of usable. Like, it's a hard one. McAllister's also starting 11 for me because again, I've used him to literally get into Div 1, which means he's not as good as Pedri, Vitinha, Del Piero, right? So he's not a GOAT card, but he's good enough to use to get into Div 1, so he can't be on the bench. Like, I literally start him in my team, so he has to go on starting 11. Carvajal, again, if you're exceptionally skilled, he's a good bench player. Like, if you don't have any right backs, he's a very good, he has edge crossing stuff, offensive right back. He's not very meta, but he is a good card because you can give him high dribbling, high crossing. Defending is okay. Speed is a little bit of a weak spot for him. Tonali, I'm going to go bench. Tonali, I'm going to go bench. Because he is a little bit more defensive, whereas like Joeliton is a little bit he's too attacking for me, okay? He's too attacking, Joeliton, and he's not defensive enough, but and neither of them are not getting up here, but they're in this category of like Div 4, Div 5, maybe good, but they are good cards if you want to use them. That similarly goes for like Michael Arverei. I put him in reserves. I mean, he's not even better than Isco. He's not getting into like any team really because he doesn't have enough finishing, and his dribbling is not good. So it's very clear. I mean, it's same with Kang Yi, or I think that's how you say his name. This PSG player, he's going to reserves. Aubameyang, personally, now this is a hot take. I'd get rid of him, to be honest. He has acceleration burst, but he doesn't have good enough dribbling. I think his speed is good. I don't think his balance is great, and his finishing is pretty decent, but like again, he's just, yeah, I'd get rid of him. He doesn't compete in any. At least Arverei has like phenomenal finishing. He is like, it doesn't work. Yeah, I'm gonna put Bernardo Silva on the same as Isco. I think he's better than Isco. All 90 stats. Finishing is like 80, which is why he's not starting 11. But his pace and acceleration is in the 90s. Balance is in the 90s. He doesn't have really high physical contact, which again is a markdown, and his finishing mark him down to bench, but he's almost in that precipice of like starting 11. Doué has to be reserves. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the stats. Like, Doué in real life is really good. He doesn't have you can either give him good dribbling, good finishing, but then you leave out pace, kicking power, balance, or you give him good pace, kicking power, balance, but then the finishing is not, and he has blitz curls, and he doesn't have 90 curl. He's like 80 curl, 85 curl, absolute most with 85 finishing. So he can't be in there. Same with Olise. Again, like I mean, I've never been able to use him because, by the way, I didn't get him with a 50% chance. But again, he's not really usable in the current meta. Lewis Dunk, I want to put him bench because, again, he's not competing with Van Dijk. He's not competing with Saliba, and he's too clunky. He's kind of like Van Byerton. Now, it does work, but again, players like Marquinhos, which are a little bit more agile, work better, especially when you're playing against pace merchants. And he can be outrun, whereas like Marquinhos, even if he has 80 pace, will not be outran. Now we're going to go through these quickly. This one's a little shocking. I'm going to put Neymar up here. I've played people in Division 2, maybe not Division 1, but Division 2. I've played people that have used this Neymar, and he's absolutely cooked me. Blitz curl on him works really well. Stats go really high, really, really crazy. So he's going to be in the go card because you can use him in the high divisions. Again, I'm going to put this guy, starting 11. You can use him. If you're good enough, you can use him as a box because he's a little bit more like this McAllister card where he's not defensive, but you can use him. But he's not crazy enough to get up into here. Again, Kevin De Bruyne, he's definitely higher on this list. But again, doesn't have the finishing. I mean, his stats are okay, but he's too slow, doesn't have enough finishing. Like, all the cards that are in here basically are missing out balance, finishing. And then up here, balance. These cards are basically all missing 3 things: balance, finishing, passing, or something. These cards are missing 2 things. These cards are missing 1 thing or nothing. And then these cards are just like even Dean Howson's not that great, but he's, for whatever reason, hella meta. And then these cards are missing like 4 more things. Andrew Robertson, this is a controversial one. Put him in starting 11. I've seen people use him. He's fast, he's pacey, his defensive isn't that great, and he's not really meta, so you can't put him up here, but he is good enough to start in a team if you really wanted to. Danny Olmo is down here. As a whole player, doesn't have enough finishing. Doesn't have, again, he's missing 2 stats, like finishing, balance, or even if he has speed, he's missing the speed, or he's missing the passing, or he's missing something. Like, he's not a complete card enough. Garassi, I'm going to put in reserves. Now, he hasn't come out yet, but he's a bullet header. Doesn't have the dribbling. His pace is below 90. And he's not, insanely tall. So he's not going to beat good defenders in the air. So he's going to have to go in reserves. Lewandowski, release him. Again, you can use him, but he's too slow. Doesn't have dribbling. Yeah. And he's clunky because of his pace and dribbling. So he's too clunky. You have to release him. Xavi Simons is reserved for the same reason all these other cards. He's missing out on finishing. And I think maybe pace. Don't quote me, but he's definitely missing out finishing. So you could put him on the bench. You could use him because he's a little bit more agile. And he's definitely better than these cards. But he's not good enough to get here. And then the final card, I'm going to put him in bench as well. He's going to be on the upper end going to starting 11. The only problem with this card is actually very good. The only problem is Dummy Runner. Dummy Runner ruins this card for me. As an attacking mid as well, and Dummy Runner doesn't work in the new meta. As an attacking mid as well, doesn't work. I think his passing might be a little bit low as well, but even if it's not, you can use him as a striker if you really want, but Dummy Runner ruins it. He's not fast enough, and Joelton goes up here obviously with the other Joelton, but Dummy Runner ruins this card. But let me guys know if I missed any cards, or what do you think of my takes. I think these 3 are clear favorites, and these people definitely are up here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.